Hi everyone, we're down here at Games and Grounds. Just finished the Season 4 Top 8 finale, and we have the winner, Terry Steyer, and his deck laid out for us. Terry, talk us through your deck and how the draft went.
Well, I had the choice, first pick, between Chamber Sentry and that red-white 4-mana creature. I guess.
True Fire Champion?
Yeah, that thing.
Okay.
So I felt like that card's pretty good, but Chamber Sentry is insane. And if I take it, I can very likely force the guy next to me into Boros, which effectively did happen. And I just kept picking some ways to stay alive, and a couple of bombs got past to me.
Yeah, it looks like you've got an eclectic mix in here.
Yeah.
I see an Azoni.
Yeah, I opened that third pack, so I felt like it wasn't so hard on my mana base because I already had, I think, 2 Golgari Guildgates and 2 Dimir Guildgates at that point. So the black part was easy, and I was already base green-white. And, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, looking, so I was kind of walking around the draft, and it seemed in pack 1 like, I must admit I missed Chamber Sentry, but it looked like you were kind of in Selesnya.
Yeah.
From your first pack.
I was definitely like, I took Chamber Sentry, and then I second picked Amara, and then I took, early after that, I took a Peacemaker and a Luminous Bonds. So then I was like pretty sure I was going to stick in green-white, at least for my base colors.
And that was survival plan, obviously, to begin with there.
Yeah.
That was taking defensive cards.
Yeah, well, I mean, Amara, there's a reasonable chance that taking that I might have just ended up in, like, a Convoke deck. And I did see a lot of Siege Worms coming around, but none of the rest of the connective tissue for those kind of decks.
Okay, yeah.
So I was kind of in green-white and just kind of open to more, like, a third color. And then, maybe just a couple of splashes off of Gateway Plazas or Guild Gates for the Chamber Sentry.
Yeah.
And it wasn't actually until pack 3 where I got really paid off for being in 5 colors, because I was past a Guild Summit, a Trotta, and I opened the Azoni. Yeah. And then I had a tough choice. I took the Integrity Invention because the pack was very dry for me, and there was
that had Experimental Frenzy in as well, right?
Yeah, that was the interesting choice. So I thought about whether or not that card would actually be good in my deck, because my curve was, I have some lower cost cards in my sideboard. I have like some 2-drops and stuff. I do have the ability to get ahead in the game with Experimental Frenzy, and especially with like having the ramp cards like the Chromatic Lantern and the Circuitous Route and stuff. And I knew the guy next to me was going to be in Boros, and I knew that at some point in time I was going to have to play against this like insane Boros deck that I passed. And so there was the consideration of which of these cards will I actually play, and which of these cards can I beat. Yeah. And I figured that I can probably beat Experimental Frenzy. And I figured there's actually a reasonable chance I end up playing Integrity Invention, even though at the time I had no other red cards, and I still don't. It was the only red card I played, but I was able to pick up a Boros Guildgate and a Gateway Plaza in that pack to be able to kind of actually...
To feel like you had enough mana sources to reliably play both sides of the card.
I knew I could play the Integrity part, but like this deck doesn't really do very well with combat tricks. Most of my things are like 2/2s.
Yeah.
So I would play that if necessary, but I'm hoping to be able to intervention. But worst case scenario, I can just pump something. So.
And did you feel with Experimental Frenzy that having such a wide range of different colored mana costs in your deck that it might be difficult to start chaining the value? It
might be. Yeah, I overall, I was trying to think, like, I don't think that card would have actually made the cut in my deck anyways. Even in Integrity Invention was one of the last cards I added.
So like 22, 23?
Yeah, so I was considering how many lands I could afford to play, and in fact, I only ended up playing 16 lands because Flower Flourish is effectively a land.
Yeah.
And as long as I can hit 3, I have District Guide and Chromatic Lantern to put me up to 4, and then Circuitous Route. So, like, the ability to reliably hit all my land drops is pretty good. And yeah.
Okay, we'll pretend like we didn't hear. So talk us through your matches. Who did you play, or what did you play first?
Round 1, I played against Sunra. I was playing a...
That Selesnya?
Yeah, well, he has 3 colors. He was Abzan, and I can't exactly remember what the black was in there for, but all 3 games, he had turned to that 2/2 first strike mentor creature.
Yeah. He
He's-
had 3 of those?
He had 3. I don't know how is even that's possible, but I mean that card's insane. It did a lot of work, and I was pretty sure I was going to lose to it. In game 1, I did lose because
It was +4/+2. +3/+2.
he had the +3/+2
Yeah.
in Vigilance Enchantment, which makes his creature so that I can never actually trade with it. I just needed a removal spell. And when I tapped down to Luminous Bonds it, and he played Joined Defenses, I think the card's called. It's like the 5
hexproof
mana.
and indestructible?
Yeah.
When is the hexproof relevant?
Yeah, well, and so all of the parts were relevant.
Yeah.
The hexproof was relevant because it countered my Luminous Bonds. The indestructible was relevant because I was going to attack with Amara to get a 1/1 lifelinker to be able to like kind of chump block with that thing. I felt like if I just Luminous Bonds it there, then I can attack and we're good.
But it untaps as well, so
But
then
yeah.
he has a blocker.
So he had another creature to untap to block. The other option was that I could have attacked with Ledev Champion and tapped Amara and some other creatures, and I could have made him up to big enough that the other creature wouldn't have first striked him down. But because he untapped another creature with Indestructible, I had no profitable attacks and no way to make another chump
And
blocker.
Champion's going to die either way.
Yeah, and I spent my mana on Luminous Bond, so I didn't have enough mana to make
Make a dude.
a token with Ledev Champion. So I ended up just not being able to deal with that creature and died that game. But then the next 2, every time he made the creature big, I had either Luminous Bonds, Conclave Tribunal. Actually, that one was really good. He had turn 1 Healer Hawk, and then I untap and played Krull Harpooner to kill it,
I saw that.
which felt awesome. He followed up with the 2/2 first strike, which I then
Sunhome, is it? Is it
Sorry?
Sunhome? Is it Sunhome Champion? Something
no
like
the he just had the 2/2
Oh, just
first strike one.
that? Okay, yeah.
with Mentor. I untapped and played Luminous Bonds and attacked for 3. And then next turn he played a 3rd land and said go. And I considered the fact he might have that instant speed green disenchant, but I wasn't willing to play around it, so I attacked, and sure enough,
He had it.
disenchanted it, blocks my Krull Harpooner, and
Feels bad, man.
yeah, that was pretty good. But I mean, that makes up for me getting to kill his Healer Hawk for free.
For
so
sure, for
we were
sure.
kind of back to net neutral there. And I slowly just took over that game by putting some big blockers in play, and he didn't have any profitable attacks, and I just went wide. And Chamber Sentry did some work in that match.
I think Chamber Sentry came into its own in your game against Joa in round 2, right?
Yeah, round 2, Joe was playing a Golgari large creatures deck and multiple guild mages. Chamber Sentry just took over both games, just repeatedly shot down his creatures. We pointed out later, had he noticed that
The black instant that gives -X/-X for creatures in graveyards.
yeah, had he
It actually
realized
has an
that
exile
exiles,
clause.
that
Yeah.
he could have dealt with the Chamber Sentry, but other than that, the rest of his game plan was sound. He was trying to race, but Chamber Sentry does a lot of work.
And then the final matchup for all the marbles was Kevin on, is it?
Yep. And our match was actually, it was really weird. He played a couple of creatures that got a couple of damage in. I think he got me down to like 14 before I was able to Luminous Bonds and Capture Sphere them. And then he started burning me out with, what's it, the 3 mana with Jumpstart.
Direct current.
Direct Current, yeah.
He started burning me down with Direct Current, like very early, and it seemed very aggressive, so I just assumed that he had the Inescapable Blaze in hand, which it turned out he did. So is when possible, I played the Centaur Peacemaker to gain 4 life, and that was
Yeah.
the deciding factor.
That'll do it.
He could get me down to I think 3, but the 4 life from the Peacemaker was enough
Put
to
you just over.
just out of range.
Nice.
And then I could beat him with little creatures. And then our next game was, I played a threat, he killed it. I played a threat, he killed it. He played a threat, I killed it. It just went back and forth for a while. But then eventually, I was able to just kind of get a little ahead because of Guild Summit. I drew, I think, 6 extra cards that game or
Oh,
something
wow.
because of
Yeah.
Guild Summit. It did a lot of work. And yeah, he ran out of removal and beat them with little creatures.
Well, congratulations, Terry.
Thank you.
The 4th season you've been top of the standings going into the top 8
Yeah.
draft, and you finally got there,
Yeah, finally the bride.
and feels good.
Yeah.
Well, thanks very much for talking us through your deck and your matchups, and well done.
Yeah, thanks for running this. It was good times.
All good.